Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers in concussion protocol after, I guess, what probably should have been a penalized hit on the fumble, not a fumble. I said on Sunday's show I thought it was definitely a fumble. People said, no, his knee was down. What are you talking about? In any event, it wasn't a fumble. But he's not 100% because, well, he plays running back for Kyle Shanahan, John. That's why. That's kind of the nature of playing running back for Kyle Shanahan.
Do you agree that the way Belichick runs his outside runs and the way Kyle runs his outside runs, like maybe Kyle just needs to, I don't know, throw the toss away, but utilize it a little less if he wants to keep people erect? Because guys are dropping like flies. I mean, they had to sign a running back this week, not because they have an injury, because every running back on the team is injured. Literally every guy on the team is injured. When you have to sign a running back on Tuesday, it's because Mitchell has a concussion and a knee. Wilson got hurt during the game. Trey Sermon got placed on IR the week before. Mostert's already out for the season. I mean, their injuries at running back. How is Elijah Mitchell going to make it all 4 years of his rookie contract?
Yeah, I don't know. His guys get hurt. It's why I've been terrified of Deebo Samuel becoming a running back. It's why I thought they need to throw the ball down the field to him. It's a great question. You just have to anticipate multiple running back injuries for Kyle Shanahan. And I think part of it, does he get guys hurt or does he get guys that run a certain way and thus they get hurt because of how they play?
Well, I think his offense and his coaching style demands them play a certain way. So the type guys he likes are going to run hard downhill in physical spots. And those guys you run into so many collisions, like you're eventually going to get injured, right? If we just have like a collision where you just run it like a under center run play and you just get tackled at the line of scrimmage, like they're not all equally as violent. I would say any of the Kyle's outside runs are as violent of collisions as you're going to find on a weekly basis in the NFL. Just out in space, going full speed with you get ahead of speed, they get ahead of speed. The collisions that were happening in that Seattle game, I mean, bodies were dropping.
Yeah. I know. But I mean, like the Elijah Mitchell run wasn't outside toss play. It was just a handoff,
Yeah, that was a freak. He got hit, KO'd, hits the ground, right? I think he was already kind of being tackled when the guy hit him and he dropped the ball.
Yeah, it was a cheap. I thought it was I didn't realize at the time it was kind of cheap, but I do remember thinking, that hits from 1998, I think, but I don't know that it's a specific, to me, it's not a specific play, like a toss play, so much as it is the style that he demands and the type of player that he gets he needs to have a player that runs a certain way. Well, that style is an injury prone style.
One thing that's going to be fascinating over the next 5 years, because it's hard to totally tell, right? No offseason last year, you just play the season. Then this season, there was a little bit of offseason, but then Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers started threatening, so a lot of teams canceled their OTAs, their veteran OTAs, the Niners included. Then most teams didn't play that many starters that often in training camp, and then you get an extra game. Because it does feel like, just looking around the league, guys do drop like flies. Now, that's kind of been a theme, I would say, the last 5-6 years. But there are a lot of injuries right now, just all over the NFL. So it's but the Niners have been injured pre-COVID, after COVID, still now. It's been a pretty consistent theme with them. So it's just something to kind of keep an eye on, just league-wide. But I will not expect next year for the Niners, this is the year they're healthy. I'm just, their guys just get injured a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. No, I think while it is also a reflection of just what happens around the NFL.
Like Jamal Adams, you see he's out for the year, right? He hurt his shoulder. They put him on injury reserve.
Yeah, I did see that.
So
I was annoyed by that news. I'm not sure why I was annoyed by that news, John. Maybe for them. But no, I mean, it's a consistent theme here. And again, I think it goes back to, we talked about it with Kittle. You go back to last year, the Kittle injury last year was, I don't know, you can't blame that on any one thing other than the throw and the hit. And it's not, when I say the hit, I don't mean that Budda Baker made a dirty hit. I just meant it was the nature of the ball being up over his head, and that was that. The question I would have is, the Deebo play, when he goes down, is that something we can talk about overuse, but you made the point to me when I brought that up after that game, is like, how many touches does he really have? It's not like he's above and beyond in terms of touches in the NFL, and he does have a history of these sort of soft tissue pulls and that sort of thing. So there's something there. When you zoom out 50,000 feet, when you zoom in on each guy, I don't really know what to make of it. I do think specifically the running backs, though, are just he has a type, and it's run your face off. And I do think this is going to be wherever we assign the blame. I think this is going to be part of the future with Kyle Shanahan, is replacing running backs a lot.
Well, remember his dad became, I would say it was a pretty just go-to talking point in like our college days, was just, remember he had like that 5-year run where it was just a different guy every year.
Yeah.
Those guys played, something Anderson.
Mike Anderson.
They just had like 4 straight years with the guys running for 1,400 yards. Is Kyle going to have a guy that runs for 1,400 yards? Like, say one thing for Mike, he just kept the guy playing all season long. Like, that's been a major challenge of Kyle's 3 or 4 years.
I know.
He would die to have just one Mike Anderson. Oh, I just had one guy run for 1,450. Like Elijah Mitchell, who looks like a guy that if he played 17 games, you would be like, Elijah Mitchell, 17-game season is getting you 1,500 yards. If he could just there every game. How could anyone be like, oh, yeah, Elijah Mitchell's going to be able to play 17 games in one season, given how – and I love the way he plays, how hard he runs, how unafraid of contact he is. But god damn, the guy takes some collisions.
What do you do?
Well, you don't. You gotta have more people in the hopper, But they're gonna be in this situation next year, following year, where you just might be late November, December, like you already have a guy injured, then a couple guys get injured in a game, and you have to sign a guy on Tuesday because all of your running backs. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen in other positions. With the Niners, like, this is not a one-off situation, I feel. Because Jeff Wilson was already injured coming into the season. Now you can be like, well, it's a freak deal sitting down. Well, I wonder if it's just the pounding he's taken being a Niner running back last couple years.
It's hard because other running backs get hurt. But I think this is the norm for them.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy part. Like Trey Sermon.
He got hurt playing special teams. Now, but he also got hurt his first career run. He got KO'd against the Eagles. I mean, first career run in the NFL, he got knocked out. And in fairness, that would have knocked out a lot of people. Like, it's not like, he got crushed. Remember that collision?
I do.
That was a toss.
It was a good run.
Well, the whole parted like the Red Sea.
And he hit it hard, unlike
he hit it very hard.
Couple of his other run plays. But, if I told you before the year, coming into the season, now I guess you definitely had reason to be a little skeptical of Mostert coming into the year. But if I told you before the year, you got Mostert, you got Hasty, you got Jeff Wilson, you're going to draft 2 more guys, Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, is that going to get you through the season?
Yeah.
You would have said yes. And especially if I'd said, I'm not going to tell you how good Mitchell and Sermon are, but one of them will be an every down type back. And, the other one will fight to be on the field, but he'll be around. Like, you would have thought at worst he could just be the guy that you need if everybody else gets hurt.
Well, like, for example, he's banged up. We'll see how much he plays. But, like, Joe Mixon. Like, there's a decent amount of teams in the NFL that just have, like, we got Joe Mixon. We got Dalvin Cook. We got Alvin Kamara. In theory, Christian McCaffrey, right? And then the Derrick Henrys. Now, and a lot of these guys I'm listing are on injured reserve. But I don't ever see the Niners get to a spot where it's like, yeah, Joe Mixon's our running back for like 4 straight years. Like,
because
Dalvin Cook's my starting running back for a 3-year stretch. Like, how's that? That's not going to happen.
I mean, the guy's going to have to be.
Because it would be Elijah Mitchell.
Does it matter that Elijah Mitchell's 5'10", 200?
No, I mean, not all. Kamara's smaller, thinner. Most guys aren't Derrick Henry, right?
Who's also hurt.
Yeah. Freak, foot break. But, I mean, he's
Kamara might be back this week, but he's been in and out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I mean, Kamara's 215 pounds.
Elijah might be more too. Well, I'm on his Football Reference. He might be more than that.
Might have been what he was at the combine. Yeah, I mean, But okay, so let's say he's he wears naturally 200. You get him up to 210. He's never going to be like 240, right? I mean, he's never going to be Mike Tolbert or something. Like he's just his size is relatively going to be around what he looks like.
Extra game now too. A long season.
But I'd say Sermon, you look at him, he's what you want him to look like. And I mean, every other carry, he goes down.
Should we be afraid for Trey Lance? I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, he got hurt in his start.
Well, yeah, I mean, the run game is violent. It's just very violent run game. And I think they coach you, go forward. Now, I don't know if you say the same thing to Elijah Mitchell as you would say to Trey Lance. Trey, it's okay to slide. Hell, you could do the Russell. You could do the fake slide where you get hit and they still get penalties.
I would defy anybody. Next time any of you watch the Ravens, just watch Lamar Jackson, which is what you'll be doing anyway, and marvel that he doesn't get hurt because he puts himself as a runner in some pretty compromising positions. Now, he's really wiggly, right?
I mean, he's one of the most elusive players in league history.
But he is just, it's constantly a war zone around him. Part of that's his team. As Paul says on the stream, Trey's already been hurt twice. Yeah, I'm concerned. And it makes me wonder if the way that everyone, should Trey Lance, when he becomes the quarterback of the 49ers, run the ball by design with any regularity beyond quarterback sneaks and a couple zone reads? I mean,
I think you would try to model him much more after like Josh Allen's run game. Remember, like quarterback sweeps and some specific stuff and some keepers than you would Lamar Jackson. And let's face it, the game we saw against Arizona was modeled different plays, but like it was more the Lamar Jackson game plan than it was like, Josh, we're gonna need you to run 5 or 6 times, but mainly slinging it. Right? They were living and dying kind of with Trey's runs, and Trey would just take off, which I think you would just give him probably at minimum, if he was just your starting quarterback, and let's say he was going to have a game where he had over 30 attempts, he might naturally take off 3 or 4 times, right? Just as a running quarterback, young guy, they just sometimes just say, fucking go, which is fine.
Right. But, I also think, let's go back and look here real quick at Josh Allen's rush attempts by year. 89 as a rookie, 109 second year in 19, 102 in 2020. 75 already. He has run. You know how many touchdowns Josh Allen's run for in 3.5 years?
Well, he's a good red zone runner.
28. I mean, how many running backs have more touchdowns every year rushing than Josh Allen? He has had 8, then 9, then 8. This year it's down a little on the pace. He has 3 through 12 games. But I would imagine he's got to be, top 15 in rushing touchdowns each of those 3 years, something like that. Now, he's also a little bigger than Trey. Like, I think one thing we've seen with Trey,
he has more rushing touchdowns than Lamar. Lamar has 21 in his career.
Wow. And Lamar's played an extra year, right?
So you said he's averaging about like 105 to 115 range, kind of? Is that Josh Allen attempts?
No, not 115. I mean, 89, 109, 102, 75. So, call it 100. Call it 90,
okay, so
95.
Lamar Jackson's 147, 176, 160, 131 right now. And I guess he missed a game because of COVID, so he'll only play in 16 games. But his numbers aren't crazy, but I guess 76 rushing attempts a lot more than 100. I mean, that extra 70 is a lot more in the open grass. I would say Trey Lance should not be at 150. He should be, but he probably shouldn't be at 100, maybe like 115, 120.
Josh will be at 100 this year based on that pace, right? So he's over 6 yards a carry, 75 attempts through 12 games. So he'll be, to your point, it'll be over his 4-year average will be like 100 basically. I'd say he's bigger. And here's the other thing with Trey. It might take some time. I like him athletically in terms of like what he could be as a runner, but I think you and I would both agree he didn't look totally comfortable kind of knowing how quickly the hits were going to come the times we've seen him run the ball.
Well, wouldn't you say Josh Allen is every bit as elusive of Trey Lance and maybe even a little more?
I'd say he looks to me like a more athletic runner than Trey Lance.
Yeah,
is that fair?
I would consider, the way I would articulate it would be he's a more fluid runner in the open field. Josh Allen is.
Yeah.
Their speed, I don't know what Josh Allen ran, but like the thing with Trey is
Josh is
Trey
heavier too.
Yeah, Trey Lance is not Lamar Jackson running the ball, right? I mean, in terms of speed, or Kyler. Like, he doesn't run that fast. He's actually not as fast. He's a good athletic quarterback, but his high-end speed is 4.6, which my guess is Josh Allen's probably right around there too. Josh Allen at the Combine ran, he's 4.75, but I do think he plays pretty fast in short areas, Josh.
Do you have his weight? His Combine weight? Because now I've got him listed 6'5",
237 at the Combine.
All right, so I've got 237 here on Pro Football Reference. Is that just old news?
I think they just carried it over. Josh is big. That's when he was 22 years old.
Because I've got, so now he's listed at, still says 237. I mean,
I bet give or take he's 230 to 240 in that range.
Trey listed at 224.
So he's just a little bigger. 10 pounds of muscle, and these guys aren't adding fat, right?
Right.
Josh taller.
Okay, so as we talk about it at this moment in time, I would say I don't want 100 rushes for Trey Lance.
For example, his one season where he played a lot, he played 16 games because they played in the playoffs, right? When in FCS you have brackets, so you end up playing 3 or 4 playoff games. He had 170 attempts that year in 16 games. And they ran the ball a lot. Like, to me, you're not running the ball that much with him. I think you would try to patent it after Josh Allen, not Lamar Jackson. Because he was a Lamar Jackson attempt guy in college. I think you go more Josh Allen attempt guy in the pros.
100 rushes a game? I mean, a year?
You think that's low or high?
It feels kind of high.
Well, he's running.
I know.
Now, some of those,
that's what we're saying
but he gives attempts on Josh Allen when he just scrambles on a pass,
for sure.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're gonna be good. So if you play 17 games, to me, at minimum, you get 35 of those off the bat, right? Because you'll have some games where you do 4 of them, some games where you do 1 or 2. I would say 35 to 40 of those type plays, right? 3-4 wide, you look back, you scramble for a first down or 5 yards or whatever. You're going to have a lot of those as a guy that can run 4.6'5", 4.7.
Yeah.
I bet Dak, runs for a decent amount, and he's much more Dak. I would say is much more of a true pocket passer than either one of those guys for being athletes. We don't even know what Trey will look like. Let's just compare him to Josh. Like Dak Prescott, career high in rushing is probably not that high. Rush attempts, he's way lower.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at, he's 57 his first couple years, 75, but last year wouldn't count. So he's a 55 to 75 range guy, Dak.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if Dak is 60, then Lance will be over that.
But I think Dak's 60, wouldn't you say that probably 75 to 80% of those are pass runs? Like he's dropping back to pass and then he scrambles?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like once you tell me that, I go, maybe Trey's number is going to be higher than I would.
When I watch Josh Allen, they do run and definitely early in his career, quarterback power, where it just snaps to him and he runs left or right.
Yep.
And the Niners are 1,000,000% running that play. Right?
Not a lot of that with Dak.
But would you agree that Niners are going to run that play with Trey?
Yeah, I'm just, in the context of this conversation, I am concerned for Trey Lance's 17-game health if they're going to use him that much. But
part of playing quarterback, and I heard Trent Dilfer say this with Russillo, and he's right. Sometimes we get in this perfect utopia, like it's football. You take hits.
Totally. But again, this is in the context of what we brought up. The Kyle Shanahan's running backs get hurt, all of them. Including Debo when he became a running back.
I don't even think Josh Allen's ever been injured.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it has to happen, but it feels like he's just a healthy guy. Doesn't take huge shots. He does. I feel like he goes out of bounds a lot on his runs because you know what part of it is with him, I think? Again, I'm kind of just dropping in. I haven't done a full film study on
Missed
Josh
some
Allen.
games. I don't know. There's something with his rookie year. He only started 11 games, but
okay.
Sophomore, junior year, he didn't miss a start, and this year hasn't missed a start.
Here's what I'll say about Josh Allen, just having watched him a lot. I think he gets out of bounds a lot because he's fast. I think his runs end out of bounds a lot. Could be wrong about that, but that's the way it feels to me, is that a lot of his runs end with him able to get to the sideline.
Not a lot of, for a guy that I think most people would be like, yeah, Josh Allen's a tough guy. He's not out there proving his toughness on most of the runs.
He puts his shoulder down from time to time, but
no,
yeah.
but I'm saying, I'm piggybacking off what you said. I actually think he plays pretty smart. Like the one run that he had, Hightower got screwed. He's like in the air. Maybe it wasn't Hightower. It was a random guy shoves him because
that was ridiculous.
It was bullshit. But
that's when you tweeted, you hate the refs' bad calls unless it helps you out. I think that's what that was in response to, right?
Yep.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.